Hey, what is up? Phoenix is rising. My name is Tennille and I am your transformational and narc coach. I specialize in providing services for Black, lesbian, and trans women 30 to 50 years old who don't know how to identify and get free of toxic patterns so they can regain their confidence and clarity, have genuine support during their healing journey after narcissistic abuse, and reconnect with their authentic selves and build a life of no regrets. That's what I help you do. So I'm reading and I have a typo. But yeah. So the last part, I help you to gain that clarity. I take you through 4 steps. Reveal patterns, then beliefs and conditions that kept you in a poverty mentality in a sense. So anything where you think where you're lacking or you're not worthy or whatever, that's poverty, right? In all areas of your life and not living from your authentic self, right? So the second is healing. When trauma happens, we don't get the bigger picture, only a snippet. So we get this understanding of the who, what, when, where, how, and why, right? Not that you are all to blame, or even to some dismay, the perpetrators are not all to blame. When you get to see things from almost a bird's eye view, then that provides healing. It's like, okay, well, this happened and then this happened, and so such and such and such and such, right? And so, but when you know better, you do better. When you know the better picture, then you can let go. You can release whatever it is that you're holding on to, whether it be characteristics, whether it be somebody telling you that you were worthless, or you're just like your father, you're just like your mother, you're never going to amount to anything. Those are many of the things that I was told growing up. And I was making it a self-fulfilling prophecy because I had no idea why they were telling me this, because I was just starting in life, literally just starting on the planet, right? So again, step 2, heal. Step 1, reveal. Step 3, grow. We grow from what has been revealed. We have healed that. We have forgiveness. Forgiveness means that I accept what happened as it happened, as I now see it through the healing process, which requires you to be able to say, not to take all the blame and not to toss all the blame onto somebody else, but to see it as it actually was, right? So in that you get growth, because you are no longer frozen in the past. You're no longer frozen as a 5-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 21-year-old. You're no longer frozen. Okay, so the third step is grow. So when we grow, when we're no longer frozen, we grow and we release that guilt, we release that fear, we forgive ourselves first for not knowing better so we could do better, for not being strong enough, because then we were dealing with the people who were 10 times compared to a child or even a teenager, 10 times our strength, or people, strangers we didn't know or whatever, right? So we forgive ourselves and then we forgive the situation. Forgiveness for us does not mean that we let them get away with anything. Forgiveness means that we have actually seen it. We're not shying away. We're not fear. We're not running away from anything. We stand on what we see. Forgiveness is, I can do nothing about it, so I'm going to move on with my life. I'm not going to hold on to this bitterness. I'm not going to hold on to this shame, and I don't require an apology. To me, that is what forgiveness is, okay? So you're no longer carrying the baggage. So you release fear, guilt, and shame, and you forgive yourself, okay? Besides others. And again, the toxic people, like cluster B personalities and just people who are toxic, they want to bind you to them, right? So they think that when you forgive, that means I can come right back in. No, that's not what that means, right? That's why I say I don't need an apology from anybody, because that's me opening the door, giving the devil a foothold to come right back in, right? So no, all it is I forgive myself for not knowing better so I could do better. I forgive the situation because there's nothing, it's in the past, but I'm unfrozen now. So I've grown from it and I'm going to let it go. I'm going to take the wisdom that I've gained from that situation that was part of my blockage, and I'm going to move on with my life. Okay. And so the fourth step is to show when similar situations rise, right? Because here's the thing that the devil and the hierarchy of demonic creatures. And this is coming from personal. One thing that they will do is, because they're creatures of patterns. So the cluster B cocktail includes sociopathy. Sociopaths are creatures of habit, and they stick with patterns. But in their mind, they're thinking that you don't know the wiser, because everybody is stupid, right? That's the malignant narcissist. That's why I say the cluster B cocktail is basically multiple demons. Like, remember when we used to eat the fruit cocktails, right? With the cherries and the pineapples and the peaches and the pears. Okay. So when you got, this is why people say, well, I just don't understand, because you're not dealing with yourself. You're not dealing with somebody with empathy. You're dealing with somebody who lives below requirements, but expects to be treated as if they have a high status. And what the characteristics of narcissism, because, okay, I can identify that, but then they did this, okay, because that's histrionic personality disorder, right? Or that's antisocial, right? Where they don't care. So when you have this cocktail of, which is a cluster B personality types, and when they are diagnosed with one, they have all the rest of them. They work in tandem. So basically, you have this F5 tornado that has come through your life, and each one of these demons within that tornado has sliced you to bits, right? If they've gotten that far, I know from my personal life, the person was literally hell bent on trying to sex traffic me, was hell bent on trying to isolate me from my gifts from God. Did not like it when I prayed, did not like it when I meditated, did not like it when I chanted, didn't like the fact that I was happy. And it's weird how somebody would want you to be in a hole, held up, right? She wanted me to be held up at a hostage of hers, right? Because she had already made somebody a hostage for 3 days, and she liked it. Because this person, she did unthinkable things to this person, this woman and her child. And this person got away with it. So when people with cluster B personalities get away with something, what do? They do it over again, because now they think that they're God, right? So you're dealing with a child who uses adult tools to annihilate their target. Okay. So again, I take you through 4 steps, which seem very easy, but once you start getting into it, because it's the deeper we go, it's like layers of an onion. The deeper we go, the more potent the stench is going to be, right? The more, because of the pain, the intensity of the pain, right? I know again, I'm not just a coach. I am also a survivor of gang stalking. I'm also the survivor of witchcraft and attacks. I'm also a survivor of not just in my childhood, but in my adulthood, narcissistic abuse for over 10 years. And in those 10 years, I was also homeless for 3. So, and while I was homeless, I was still being attacked with gang stalking and witchcraft, and people were trying to kill me and put out hits on me because they did not want me to survive. So it forced me to stop playing dumb. And I asked the Most High, I said, I don't care whether I have no limbs, which means no arms, no legs, no nothing. I don't care if I got to crawl. We are changing this pattern if that is the last thing that I do on my time on this earth. Because I am tired of being like a rag doll that people are just tossing and turning. And even if I hide, they come and seek for me. So that means that I have to stand my ground, right? You have to learn we got to stop fighting. We got to stop fearing retaliation, because retaliation is going to come when you got toxic people, when you got people who are demon possessed. That, to me, that is what cluster B personalities are. You have a cocktail of demons that you're fighting, and you never know. So, but you'll get to know it, but you'll never at the beginning, you never know which one you're dealing with. Gang stalking is what Phoenix is. It is a sorority for cluster B personalities and their flying monkeys. I've been living in this new place, and I keep having, not every time, but I think it's every time somebody gets all wound up. And today I had a cigarette butt out in front of my door, like literally placed there. I think it was a week or two ago that I had a cockroach and a leaf placed in front of. So you see what I'm saying? So you get to recognize it. The cool thing, where I would like to get my phoenixes rising when you work for me, or not for me, but with me, is that you can recognize it without any trouble. You recognize what it is that you just saw, or what it is, you know what I mean? So, and I also have an 8-week program that we're going to go through, and the first half of it's a 2-part program in one, ergo the 8 weeks, and it's I think it's $12.75, because we will be meeting weekly on Zoom calls, and you will be able to sign up with for one 60-minute free session with me that comes with the package. Okay, so but anyway, I think I just forgot it. Oh, yes. So the first part, we go through what cluster Bs are, because I don't believe that people are be given the right information. And so the thing that I do, and I know that a lot of my Phoenixes rising do, is, and we're gonna get into the 5 transition steps you must take in a minute. So hold on. But what I think most of us, we don't, we're not told the right things at the right time when we need them. And it's purpose confusion, because sometimes it's jealousy. People don't want us to get free when they're still trying to process what it is that they just went through, right? Which sucks. It's jealousy, and it sucks. But what I found is, as a transformational coach, my goal is not to parrot what other coaches say. It's to find the truth as authentic as it can, in the form that it comes in, and pass it along. But not just pass it along, but I searched for what I was experiencing. I am a detail-oriented person. I mean, I do skimp in a lot of things, but one thing that I will not skimp on is recovery. And that's the way that I've always been. And I think that a lot of you guys, Phoenixes Rising Academy, my target audience are people who have been targeted individuals through gang stalking, and are people who are empaths. We're in this world, but we're not of it. Okay, so a lot of us, we pay attention to things, and we may not say things, but we cannot stand being in a toxic environment, and so we will immediately go. Like I used to stand in people's houses when people would ask me over, so come over, right? And I knew it was because of my energy. It wasn't because of me. They liked me personally. They just knew, okay, she's a giving person, she's a healing person, and I need her around, and I want it to be more personal, because we still, it's always, you're too stupid to know that it's weird with people with, who are toxic and character disturbed, and, are diagnosed with this cluster B personality. It's inevitable that they always think that, that we're stupid. You're too dumb. You're too dumb to know that what I'm plotting, right? And so how many times and how many days and how many months and how many years have we spent dumbing ourselves down? Because I know I did. I raised my hand. I know I did. I know I dumbed myself down on purpose, and it was really hard, because it was like literally like I had to go da 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 da. I don't see what's happening. I can't feel anything. And it's not really what I saw. I could close my eyes and tell you exactly what was going on. Right? That's the gift that the divine had bestowed. That's the gift from my bloodline. Right? And people were asking me to deny my bloodline, like they were asking me to deny my eye shape, then asking me to deny my thick butt, my thick thighs. You know, how many times was I called thunder thighs? I was 98 pounds. How could I have been thunder thighs? I didn't even know what size of pants or shirt I wore because they were all hand-me-downs. You know what I mean? I was so detached as a child, you know, with my body because I was going through trauma. But nobody told me that. Of course, my malignant, narcissistic, sociopathic father wasn't going to tell me that. Right? So, first part is we go over what cluster B personalities are and how to identify them. So when I was searching and when I was on my journey, and the Most High, it gave me the wisdom. So it's like I said, that's why I'm a coach. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not licensed in those fields, but I am a coach, which means I have more leeway, you know, and not for ego or selfish, you know, malignant purposes. Just I come from a spiritual perspective. I come from, you know, the cosmos. I'm not, you know what I mean? Because that's when you're in the world but not of it. That's what that means. I'm not taking direction from other people. You know, if you know, the Most High may use a speech that somebody says to get me to, you know, from point A to point B. Right. And then I got to do the footwork. So it's, you know, it's all about me. It's all about taking your power back. That's what I'm going to navigate you to. Taking your power back. Yes, you did this, but let's see the bigger picture. What were the elements, right? As a filmmaker, as a scriptwriter, you know, when I write my scripts, it's like a show, don't tell, you know, so basically it's different from writing a novel, right? Because I thought about, okay, this is kind of hard writing these scripts because they want you to show them, not to tell them. So you have to write to show. I have to get your mind. I have to, when you're reading, you have to be present, right? You have to be present there, which really, when you're writing a novel or whatever, you're writing a short story, you're still doing it, right? It's just, you're just using more words. But I think it's you know, with script writing, it's a masculine. So they're always trying to change dominated, but it's toxic masculinity. So they're always trying to, oh, well, this is what, no. And even the guy that, oh gosh, what is this? Howard something. He played on, with the Fonzie and all that stuff. I forget the show. But anyway, he even said, you know, directors are going to have to get used to people starting to write like screenplay, like not screenplays, but plays, like they're playwrights, right? So, I mean, because it's all the same thing, but it's depending on, somebody said this, and now we're going to do it like this, and that's the dominant person, okay? But anyway, we want to see the bigger picture, right? So you're not sitting there, you can't get free if you can't talk about things from a spiritual perspective, because that's where it all starts. It all starts with energy, right? My dad hated Black women because he could not consume them. And he knew that he was not going to be able to consume me. Plus, he knew that I was not his child. You know, I mean, on a spiritual level, he knew that he was that what he was. And he could not stand to look at me. And now I know why. Because now, I mean, because it's basically, it's a narcissist. They took it as a narcissistic wound, that I was looking at them with confidence. I was looking at them with no fear. I was seeing right through them. I have that gift of looking through people. Right? So, the first part again of the From Sealed to Healed program, 8-week program, is going over cluster Bs, who they are, what they do, and why they do what they do, and just some other stuff. And then the second part, once you know, right? Once you know, then you have the ability. And the second part is getting you to your authentic self. So when we're going through reveal, heal, grow, show, right? You'll know how to identify who, what, when, where, why, and how. Right? Doesn't mean that you're not going to take responsibility for your part or your role or whatever, but it's and you know, I always tell people, because I went through this by myself. I didn't have a counselor, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever. And that's mostly because they had shut it down. Like, I remember I got a counselor, and this nutbag of a cluster B gang stalker. Just, I mean, again, she obsessed. The obsession is part of the character disturbance. I'm gonna obsess if I can't control you. Now I'm obsessed because I'm wondering why I can't control you when it's worked so many times. And how do you always know when I'm coming, when I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it? Because I got divine guidance. And so then they started to attack my crown chakra. They started to crown my attack my Vishuddhi, my Agnya, the root. Every time I would, do Viji mantra, which ought to clear my Muladhara chakra, also known as the root chakra in English. But it's much more, I would feel them siphoning it, right? So for me, I feel that it's very important for you to know your enemy, which is the first part, so that way too you can when what is revealed in whatever character defect or fear or blockage that ends up being revealed for you, then you can go back and say, okay, this is why, because this person was this in my life. This person was a narcissistic sociopath in my life. This person was jealous of me and I didn't read it at that or I denied it. That's what the Most High was showing me today. It's like, dude, you just denied it. You knew, you just denied it, because it's so much more fun to be in that higher vibration. But every once we got to get used to the fact that, as who we are in the spiritual realm, we're going to fluctuate sometimes. We're going to go through that ebb and flow from going low to going high. It does not mean that we are going to be lower vibratory, because as long as we're doing the tools. That's why I'm giving you the tools. That's why I'm creating a community for Phoenix Rising Academy members to be able to always have access to the masterclass, have access to how to clear your chakras, which mantra to say to help you to clear away other people throwing negativity at you, or just energetically being in a toxic environment, right? That's because those are the things that have kept me alive. It wasn't even it was last week that they were trying to this week, but I think I just got back and I keep forgetting to tell you guys about that, but just to show you. So this is the fourth, then the final step is show what you've learned, show how you've grown, put it to practical application, right? Okay, so that's the 8-week program, and I haven't launched it yet. I'm going to launch it in the new year, but I would love it if you guys would like, subscribe, and also hit that button. Just let YouTube know that we're out here, Phoenixes, and that we're here to stay, right? So because I want everybody who needs this, who needs it's so beautiful when I get those comments that somebody commented recently, oh, don't mind if it's very long, because I mean, really, I because of the things that are happening in my personal life, which I wish I could share with you guys a lot more, but it's not going to happen right now. Hazel. Okay. Sorry. My babies sometimes, so we're transitioning. So we're out of a traumatic environment and we're getting good sleep, and my babes are getting good sleep. That's the thing. So that's why it brought me up to these 5 transitioning steps you must take. Because when we finally transitioned, right? So, it's like I'm still king of my environment, of my empire, but I needed to be in more feminine energy, divine feminine energy, and so we're here now, and I'm telling you, they didn't to think at first, and I could tell, and I noticed, and not to gross anybody out, but when your digestive system is affected, when you go through trauma, when you go through stress, that fight or flight, I know mine is, right? And so that's why we get that big belly. We're overproducing cortisol. You wouldn't think that I was doing, what did my coworkers say it was? I didn't even know what I was doing. I just, again, divine guidance. My ancestors were like, okay, since you quit smoking, you're not going to be able to fast as much as you were fasting until you get, because you're still under high attack. And so it's trophia, hip trophia, hypertrophia, or something like that. So basically 12 reps and 6 sets of every exercise. And I was doing way more than that because I was under a lot of stress and I didn't want to lose any progress, you know. I'm always going to be thick. The thing for me was never to be skinny, it was to be toned. You know, I'm thick and stocky. But I wanted to get down, you know, in pant size and whatever. But once that started, it was working, and I was showing progress physically in about, you know, a month or so. And because I was doing a lot, I have to do a lot of cardio for my body type. And to me, it's never enough, right? But then it's more the emotional when you're attacked and when you get out of cluster B relationship, you get out of those relationships with those malignant narcissists. And you know, they were telling you, God, you got so fat, you're so ugly, how could you let yourself go like this? What we don't realize is that it's stress fat. Instead of saying, okay, this is what I'm eating, you know, like it's stress fat. So do more research on stress fat. Because what I found in towards the end, because they were really hopping up the witchcraft and the negativity and the evil and the jar spells, and I mean, my God, I don't know, some of these guys had me floating in some crap that was just like ugh, you know, to the point where I couldn't even watch my favorite, and I shared this on another podcast discussion. I said I couldn't even watch my favorite Korean shows, because you know, the supernatural shows, because I'm like, okay, I relate to that, you know, I've seen that. So, it was not fun. It was not a fun time. So anyway, just not to gross anybody out, but my babes, it's like I noticed through their poop, right? And I noticed through mine, right? And it's good to be vigilant of what your body is doing and what is passing through, because it's what you're releasing that you can get an indicator on how you're healing, whether you are or not. So the first, you know, couple weeks, it was like they weren't really doing too much, you know, pooping. Right. So, but the more I know, for me personally, I felt my digestive system, it was kind of like, you see, when a baby cries really hard and then they start to settle down and they do that stuttered exhale or whatever, you know, so, and that's what my intestines were doing. And I was like, oh my God. And I cried. I just let myself cry, because I was like, oh my God. And I said, thank you, baby. I mean, like, oh my God, you know, I had to hold myself. And because it's like, you know, you don't have any in the thick of it. I'm fasting and I'm exercising. I'm actually overdoing it. You know, I'm over fasting. I'm over exercising. It got to a point for me where it was no longer intermittent. It was because I was addicted, and which is nothing wrong with it. I was addicted to the intensity of my connection with the Most High and with my soul tribe. You know, once I quit smoking, and you know, the clarity did come back, but then I felt like I didn't have a defense. So it was the smoking that helped me to fast longer, right? But it just, you know, so anyway, but it doesn't mean that the Most High is not there, because the Most High does answer. All my soul tribe is always around me. I always tell them, you know what, I love you guys, thank you so much, right? Just give me a sign that you're there, and forgive me that I wish that we were closer, and I miss our conversations. I miss hearing clearly, but it doesn't mean that I can't get back there again, right? So anyway, you know, feeling that in my intestines, and then kind of like relax, and kind of, you know, like I said, like after a baby gets through crying really hard, and they go, that's what I felt that's what I literally felt. And I could take deep breaths. Like, you know how hard, those of you who have been through trauma, you know how hard it is to take deep breaths. We're usually doing shallow breathing every day, right? Because we just don't know. I gotta conserve, you know? And it felt so good to like inhale deeply, right? To go. So when the girls, they were going out, and then, you know, we're eating and we're all happy and they're laughing, and my baby girls are doing things that they hadn't done for few years, you know, like at least 2. because they were under stress. So see, when the cluster Bs who are involved in witchcraft and they specialize in using it because they like to hide their throw rocks and hide their hands, right? Your inner. I had my little one attacked when they exploited it. I had my staffy attacked. They tried to literally kill her. Not only that, they were essaying her in the astral realm because there were some freakazoids who were into that kind of crap. That's what we came out of. We came out of stuff like that. So when a lot of times, a lot of us will shut off our gifts, our divinely ordained gifts, because it becomes too intense, because we don't know how to manage them, because nobody's teaching us that. So that's why I say, everybody is welcome. You are all welcome. If you get something out of this, that is fantastic. But I do target and as my clientele mostly to be Black, lesbian, and trans women from 30 to 50, because they need that community. You need to be able to share without feeling like everybody's going to tell on you or that you're going to be punished or laughed at. Right? Especially in the Black community. The Black community does not like to talk about mental illness. The Black community does. So therefore you have all these narcissistic men and women running around, and people say, oh, it's mostly men who are narcissistic, but it's not. I'm living proof of that too. So that's why I say, because a lot of us get into these same-sex relationships, these women-loving relationships with women who don't love. They don't know how to love. They just know how to take. And they know how to take by force. And most of these women who have been our partners are mentally ill or character disturbed. Usually if you have it, and this is the thing, and again, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor. And I say, when we start this process, make sure that you do have a counselor, or a psychologist or whatever to talk to, because you may be triggered. And I'm a coach, I'm not certified to take you through it. I can share with you how I got through, almost going over the cuckoo's nest, or flying over the cuckoo's nest, is however that saying goes. I can only share with you that. The other, but make sure that you have what you need, when you're going to go through this 8-week program with me. Okay. And again, it's twofold. It's learning about cluster B personalities. So that way, when we go into the second part, which is getting to your authentic self, then you'll be able to identify who, what, when, where, why, and how more efficiently and effectively, which means that you will be healing on a deeper level, not just a surface blanket, okay, yeah, I understand. Go ahead and go on. Right. Because I thought that I had dealt with all my stuff. I was like, dude, I'm so beyond this. But it was layers of the onion that I didn't even understand, right? So sometimes what we go through is a blessing for us if we choose to make it a blessing, right? When I got on the streets, I didn't say, okay, I knew that there were players. I knew it wasn't an accident, but I knew that I had given the devil a foothold. So I had to ask the Most High, what is it in me that keeps me living in poverty and being a punching bag emotionally and physically and financially for other people? Because I've never had any problems with making money. I've just never made I'm content. I'm easygoing, so I'm content. Like I've never bought property. I've never bought a house. Those are goals right now. Right? So anyway, again, so, when I saw my babes, after feeling physically, my body start to go through a healing process and not be so stressed, and me being able to take long, deep breaths, right? Like all the way through from my gut up. It was beautiful. And I cried. And that, so when my babes, when they started, okay, we're, mama's feeling better. We're feeling better. We're not we're waking up. We're not being attacked so much. Doesn't mean that I'm still not being attacked. It just means that I'm not being attacked as much as intensely, and neither are they. So when I saw that their stools were coming out a lot more, like they had a lot of stuff backed up, right? But we were also going out for a lot of walks. And, because that was one of the things. It was like this person was trying to herd me like cattle. And yes, this person is a racist. She has something against Black women. she wants to dominate Black women and she wants to control Black women. So what was the succubus? The succubus was like, I thought that you were going to be the N-word, right? See, a lot of people, and this is again why I focus my focus is on lesbian and trans women 30 to 50 years old, because there are people who have been laughing and smiling in our faces and laughing behind our backs. And if you're so in tune, you can hear the thoughts that these guys are having in their heads about you. She thought that I was the N-word. And she thought that I was like, I couldn't understand. Do you know that your husband is right there? Like, but she had this idea in her, the succubus had this idea in her head that she was going to get me to pay for things for her, and you know what I mean, like, but without doing anything, and I would do all the work, and I was going to heal her. I heard her thoughts, like literally heard her thoughts, no joke. She said, you're going to heal me and I'm going to charge you. And she kind of stopped and she goes, $1,000. And then, but she's looking at me and she's having a conversation with me, but she's thinking all this in her head. And it was louder than the dialogue, the verbal audible dialogue that we were having. Right? Like, I mean, think about that. So if I'm experiencing it, I know that there are other light workers and earth angels and chosen who are experiencing it too. And chosen originates from our tribe, from those who look like me. So please, if you're coming, from all walks of life, all cultures and races, you're welcome here, but just know that I will not apologize for focusing on my people, because just because I didn't die doesn't mean that I'm going to leave them drowning. Okay. So here are 5 transitioning steps that you must take. The first one is accepting what happened, right? A lot of times we just, okay, well, I'm out of it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to act like it didn't happen. But see, when you're trying to bury it, it ends up eventually burying you because you're not processing it. You have to give your time. Like when I transitioned, finally, so I mean, you will go through several different types of transitions in your life. You're gonna go through, right? It was such a beautiful thing to watch yourself grow, right? It's a beautiful thing to watch yourself transition, right? Sorry, guys. I got myself some sparkling water. And it is absolutely good. It's kiwi strawberry. So accepting what happened. So when we transitioned. Hi, Mama Seeker. Okay. When we transitioned, I had to give myself time. I had to admit what I had been through. I had to admit that I had been abused. I had to admit that I was in a forced relationship where the person wanted, whether I was with them physically or not, which never was. And what's even worse is that this was all of this person's mind. So when we transitioned and I moved to a new place, this person, I literally woke up and felt that same feeling that I had felt before, where you're just enveloped like saran wrap, right? In all this toxic sewage, this tar. And so when I woke up, as I was gradually waking up, I could hear this person trying to, and I don't remember what they said, but they said something. It was kind of, I'm an anime fan. So Anjin, let me look this up. Anjin is a 3D animation. It's called Demi-Human. Pardon me. I'm going to put this up here. Okay. Anjin, demi-human Japanese. It's a Japanese manga series, and it was so because so this person, Anjin comes. It's like your shadow self, and I've never read the manga, and I have to watch the actual animation, but that's what it sounded like. So these shadow self, these basically it was this kid's shadow self, right? And I don't even because eventually it was never it went from being a shadow self to kind of like an um what would be in your archangel, or like, my guides. When I call on them, they come. If I say get this person out of my energy field, they get them out of my energy field. you know I when I had somebody trying to body snatch me, Olga, who was trying to body snatch me. This is the one who's obsessed, like relentlessly, like, ugh, my God. But anyway, and I called on my guide and I said, get her out. And just, inside telepathically, just, hey, get her out. And it was so funny to watch. It was funny to watch her get yanked out like they were not playing. He did not play with me. He didn't, when I called and when I was sincere about it, he snatched her by whatever astral body he hooked onto and took her out. So now I've been stepping it up a notch because I'm really tired of it. Because again, when this dealing with cluster B personalities, they obsess with not being able to destroy you. Even though you have nothing to do with them, you can be 5,000 miles away. They are still obsessing over you because, number one, you're the one that got away. So if they discarded you and you leave them and you move on with their life, they take that as an affront because how dare you? You're supposed to be holding on to them. You're supposed to be hooking on to them. You're supposed to be pleading them to come back. I remember when she discarded me, and it was like, I was prepared for it, right? Because this is when my training started, when I was living with her. So my training started when she started to let that it was not that I couldn't see through her, it was that I was already preoccupied with trying to save my life and trying to keep us off the streets, and she exploited that wholeheartedly. Basically what she was going to do was, she said to me one time, which this is why it's like when you're dealing with the masked person versus the unmasked person, sometimes it's hard to tell because they will use normal everyday speech, but it will be a double-edged sword. It will be multifaceted. I have another podcast that's discussion talking about that double speak that they do, where I'm talking because I'm in front of people and I don't want you to be able to discern what it is that I'm saying, but this is what I really mean. So she had said, hey, you don't know what I'm trying to do for you. This is after she said, this is why people don't like black people after spitting my, hate black people is what she said. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you basically stay in your house and you stink and you you don't go anywhere, except for to do gang stalking rituals, and you find, but you're telling me that this is why people hate black people. No, this is why you hate black people, specifically black women. Right? This is what I found out before. But she goes, you don't know what I'm trying to do for you. No, I know what you're trying to do to me. Big difference. When I'm doing something for somebody, if I'm baking a cake for you, I'm baking a cake for you. The cake is produced and placed on the table right in front of you. When I'm trying to do something to you, depending on if I have, good intentions or evil intentions. If I have good intentions, you're going to see what I'm doing. You're going to see the ingredients that I'm putting in. If it's evil, I don't want you to run and be scared and protect yourself. So I'm going to be discreet. Like Jiminy Christmas. So I had to, I remember when the Most High was like, you really have to admit that you're a domestic violence victim, or survivor. And I was like, I don't want to, because you and I both know that I was about ready to drop her, My pride came in, and I mean, the same thing with the succubus. It's like, these guys are throwing rocks and hiding their hands. How can I do anything? You know? Hey, sweetie, Purple Top 111. Glad you're here. So anyway, cool beans. So glad you're here. Stay tuned. There's more to come. Please subscribe and share it to those who you think could benefit from it too, from my channel too. So anyway, I mean, it's you got to accept this. I was in a relationship with somebody who I did not want to be in a relationship with. It was kind of like a forced marriage, and I lived with this person 2 months, and she discarded me. I left on, other people. I've met so many crusted beasts. As I've said before in my earlier podcasts on this channel, I've said before that you don't have to be married to these guys. You don't have to be boyfriend and girlfriend. You don't have to be straight. You don't have to be gay. It doesn't matter. For one, she thought that she said, I thought that you were a lesbian. I am a lesbian. So, it's like, but I'm not like a man hater or I don't hate like that. Right. So I was just like, okay, yeah. My coworker is hot and he's very attractive. He's very sexy, and she's like, was mad, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I couldn't figure out exactly why she was mad, but I did understand that she was trying to flirt with me without seeming like she was flirting with me, if that makes any sense. And I wasn't going to do it, right? Like, I'm focused on working. I'm focused on building Phoenix's Rising Academy. I was working on my YouTube channel. I was, building up my LLC, trying to figure out how to get subscribers. I was working on my online programs and how to get people signed up and how to get the word out that I'm here and who I'm here for, right? And this person, her whole idea was, I've targeted you and you're going to do what I want you to do. This one was trying to force me to move in with her. So I had one that was trying to force me to move in with her so that I could be her sex slave and that I would just be treated like I didn't matter. And then the other one was just trying to use me as like a sex slave and hold me captive and hostage to her. So she was shutting down, even though I wasn't with them, they were shutting everything down. And that's what happens to women who are in partnerships. Right. As I said, I focus my clientele on Black lesbians and trans women who are 30 to 40 years to 50 years old, because it's almost, when domestic violence happens, it's erased. We don't talk about it ourselves. Right. When somebody starts talking about, that happened to you, but that wasn't me. That was something else. But what you're describing is what I just said, So it's time for us to get really real. But it happens to people who are in relationships for long period of times or whatever, and somebody wants to keep and possess that person. There's a difference between being in a relationship that is healthy and mutual, and you complement each other and you allow each other to be what you can be. It doesn't mean that you don't trip up. It doesn't mean that you don't get triggered, because we live in this planet. But it means that you're not trying to hold somebody hostage. That's the difference. These were hostage takers. Toxic people, cluster B's, character disturbed individuals or creatures will hold a person hostage, especially if you are high vibing in energy, in prana. If you're high vibing, they're going to hold you hostage because they want you to be theirs personally. They don't want to share. So they have marked you like an animal. When my girl dogs do this too. They'll lift their legs. They ain't got no. I remember when my baby Hazel, she ain't got no juice left, but boy, she gonna squat like she doing something. So it was just kind of, but when you're marked. So the first out of the 5 transitioning steps that you must take is accepting what happened, what you went through. Because your blessings are truly in your ashes. I have gained so much wisdom, and this is why I am so passionate about what I do. And this is why I'm still being fought. I've had my TikTok channel, shut down for telling the truth on the people that I've spoken about. I've had, all of a sudden I go from a whole bunch of views to pretty much 0 views. On one of my channels, the Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC, I've been posting kind of a mini docu-series on, just sharing with you guys, this is what I went through when I was homeless. Talking about the gang stalking. I've only got 2 videos up. And the second video that I post now, TikTok has over 1 trillion people who are watching them. And you mean to tell me I only got 1 view, and all of a sudden it's the first time I uploaded it, the sound was off for some reason, right? So, and in my life, this is how an abuser will try and block you energetically. Sometimes when we are dealing, so as a coach, I am not just going to come from the physical temporal world. I am going to delve into those dimensions and those timelines, so that on a cosmic level, because these guys it is witchcraft of sorts, whether they're actually practicing witchcraft like the people that I have come into contact with, or it's just because of who they are, like because of who we are, we vibrate so high that people get healed. Like Yeshua was healing a woman with a blood issue. He said, who touched me? Because he felt the energy. That's what I feel. That's what I know my phoenixes feel. Anytime I clear my chakra, and I walk out the street, all the toxic people come. Like they literally come. I had a guy who was crossing the street. I was getting ready to cross the street. So my guides were like, watch his ass. I said, okay. And all of a sudden he turned, his eyes turned into little black slits, and he stood there trying to get my prana. So you have people who are fighting you for your energy, and I would rather be awake than asleep to it. So I kept ducking and dodging them, and finally I told him, you come towards me one more time, you're gonna get it. And I crossed the street after a while, and the next thing something said, look back. He was gone, as if he had never just stopped there. You know what I mean? But so, and the other thing is I always say, you got to die to everything, which includes other people's confirmation of what you've been through. Only you know what you've been through. Tell it. It's nobody else's business. Whether they believe you or not, do not worry about that. There's things that I have shared on my channel that, normally I would be like, oh, people would say, oh, that's crazy. It's like, oh, really? Is it really crazy? Celebrities can talk about this shit. The supernatural, the demonic world, the witchcraft, the Satan, you know what I mean? They can, the rituals, all that stuff. They can talk about it. But somebody like me, you're calling me crazy. Suddenly I'm crazy? Really? So don't be, and that's the whole thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to speak your truth, because when we're only as sick as our secrets, as the saying goes in some rooms. And one thing I learned is I'm an open book. I've always been an open book. But what people don't realize is that there's codes within my pages. And that's what got these guys. They didn't know that I was a super empath. They didn't know that I was a heyoka. They didn't know that I come from a powerful bloodline. And I don't brag about it, because I've known that I've come from a royal bloodline. Many of us do, who are going through this. This is why they literally try and kill us. And when I was on the streets, I wondered to myself, how many of these guys were just put through the ringer because of things that they were going to heal or change or do to free humanity and to raise us the consciousness of this planet. And now they're here homeless and they don't want to do anything, because that's what happens. That was the whole point of them trying to kill me, trying to kill my dogs, trying to wound me. They did kill 3 of my fur babes. They did. They sacrificed them. They waited patiently to be able to do it. Even my mother. So for me, and this is who I said, I'm going to leave a legacy. When she passed, she left nothing. because even the kids that she was still involved with, because I met her a few times, after waiting for so long, and it wasn't that beautiful, Sally Jesse Raphael, meeting reunion, but we cried, and I went down there, and I was very disappointed. I was very hurt, and I had no words. Right? Because she was not the mother that I had hoped that I would be receiving. That I graduated high school early with honors and awards to be able to brag to her about, she was not that mom. She was a drug addicted mom. She was a prostitute mom. Right in front of me, right in front of my brothers and sisters who were so used to it. But they ended up betraying her, of course, in the end. The golden child collected, some money off of her, but whatever. But so, I have no time and no patience to be trying to prove to people anything. If you resonate with me, then you resonate with me. You're a part of the Phoenix's Rising Academy tribe. That's all I care about, is touching the people that I'm supposed to touch. In helping you. So the first is accepting what happened. 2 is express the pain, release, which is what I've basically just got through talking about. And part of releasing, like, I am also a filmmaker, which is why I have another TikTok and an Instagram and a YouTube channel called Blue Phoenix Rising Media LLC. And you can go look that up. I don't think I have it on here. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, so because I went to school to be a filmmaker, so and I use filmmaking, and that's another thing. So when you get to start telling your story, because why? Your abusers don't want you to say anything about it. They don't want you talking. Why would I want you to go and talk about what I did to you? Because so other people may catch on. If you talk about it, then other people are going to know what I did to you. And they're going to realize that I did the same thing to them. And that's something so they want you to keep silent. They want you to keep real quiet. And because I didn't keep quiet, sorry about this, I'm typing. All right, so because I didn't keep quiet, that meant that was another narcissistic wound for these guys, right? Because I didn't keep quiet, now it's okay. You've offended us now, and we know about the narcissistic wound. The narcissistic wound is when you don't allow yourself to be controlled or held hostage, and you speak your truth, and it offends them. And it's the pathological, that's a part of pathological envy and jealousy, right? Which basically can be a death sentence. And I've had it. This woman tried to kill me. And that's not an exaggeration. She was doing dark, ancient witchcraft spells, going to, paying, I forget what the Santa Muerte and the people to do rituals and crap like this. I mean, like, she was literally paying people to off me. And the other thing, another topic that I'm gonna put up is she was literally trying to snatch my body. Like, she thought that she can, and that she could switch consciousness, that she could insert her consciousness into my body, and I would be dead, of course, and she would be living my life, right? That's what she thought. That's what she was hoping for, because that's what she saw. She saw that I was going to be a big filmmaker and I was going to, or what, I don't, and I mean, I know that it was in lines with that. Now I am humble. Um, I'm humbled to a fault, and the Most High is working on me with that. But this person got a dab into my akashics, and decided that she was going to graft herself in where she was not meant to be, you know. And that is usually what cluster bees aren't attracted to you because of your looks. They're attracted to you because of your pocketbook and your status, you know, and your energy. The only three things they're attracted to. So by me, basically, she feels that we are in a relationship, and by me expressing myself is a betrayal to our relationship, which is never had. The only, I mean, we all have relationships, but there's different types of relationships, right? Like the relationship is you're a cluster B personality trying to hijack my life and take my blessings, and I'm not letting you. You see? But I still, that's why I have this social media. I am not a social media person. I really am not. I'm an introvert. I'm a hermit. I don't like small talk. If I'm going to say something, it's going to have meaning, right? I don't go to malls just to hang out. Like that was the hardest thing for me as a teenager. Oh, we're going to go to the mall and hang out, and just hang out. Like, what are you doing? Are you eating? Are you watching a movie? Are you playing video games? You know, and why do you need to go to the mall to do it when you can just do it from your home? That's why we have video game consoles. You know, like it was really hard. It's not that I didn't want friends. It was just that I didn't understand the social norms because they seemed abnormal to me. But anywho, so I'm telling my story about surviving 3 years on the street while being gang stalked, while people trying to pimp me out or sex traffic me or murder me even, right? Losing who I lost on that road, right? And so people keep trying to silence that, but I still post it anyway, whether it has 1 view or 1,000 views. I'm still going to post it because somebody is going to see it when it's time for them to see it, and they're going to be like, "Gosh, that's what I went through," right? So I can't think of I can't think like a brand when you're doing this type of work. I mean, for me, I can't think like a brand. I got to think like a coach. Like, hey, who's this going to help? Who's this? You know, I mean, in Most High, who's this? What should I be talking about? How should I present this? You know. So that's it. So number 2 is expressing the pain. So yeah, and even expressing the pain to yourself. Journaling is huge. Crying is huge, because what crying does, and this was a video by a doctor, I forget his name, on TikTok, and he said that you know, when you cry, so there's many ways of purging, expressing the pain verbally, right? Being creative with it through painting, through photography, through doing little short films or videos. Even if you're not doing anything that's talking about the situation, maybe you want to make poems, or you know, you just want to paint abstract paintings, or you know, do that one where it looks that liquid marbly kind of painting, right? I have a sorority sister who does that, and she's found a lot of healing in that, and she's even teaching other people how to do it. And it's absolutely beautiful to watch her, you know, evolve and grow into her authentic self, right? And so it's just expressing that pain, and not necessarily with the intentions of helping somebody, but just coming from your authentic self. Again, we're as sick as our secrets. And however you express it, the pain is however you express it. Journaling, crying, so basically the guy said the crying, it releases those dendrites that are holding on to that episode, right? Your cells have memories, right? That's why a lot of times when we get stress fat, it's we're frozen in a period of time. And so then when we get out of that, you have to let your body heal. You may gain more weight, because you've been frozen until because you were constantly in a state of survival mode. So it affected your brain, it affected your body, it affected your cortisol, of course, you know, it affected all this stuff that makes you up, right? And now that you're out of it, now it's like, okay, you know, I used to describe it, because it's not the first time that I've gone through this. You know, that unfortunately for those of us who are chosen, we're constantly in this battle. Like, I used to watch Fairy Tale. Again, I'm an anime buff, right? I would watch Fairy Tale, And I got to like the 100th episode. And as a script writer, right, they tell you there's within a scene, within every episode, there's a beginning, middle, and an end. And it always started with the hero's journey, the challenge. Okay, here's your everyday humdum life, and then this is what happens, and it disturbs your peace. Right, you meet this cluster bee. They just, they have idealized you, and then they've love bombed you, and now that they got you hooked. Now they're going to discard you. This like, gosh, what was I thinking, or why did you do that, or what did then they discard you, and then you go ahead and go about your business because you're not going to run after anybody who doesn't want you, right? And then they try and tear your life apart. So I would watch Fairy Tale, and that's basically what would happen. They'd get these people who would resurrect and all this stuff, and it was like, okay, I can't watch anymore. Just like Dragon Ball Z, I'm not gonna watch. You're on your 500th episode, dude. I'm done. I was done after 200. I'm good. Bleach the same way, man. Go on with something else. I mean, y'all are boring right now. So, I'm done. Yeah. So, it's allowing yourself to go through that process that you need to go through, right? Because that's basically it. There's a beginning, middle, and an end. The beginning and middle and an end. Because every time that they have attacked you, you were caught up in their toxic mind. And if you've ever watched The Cell with Jennifer Lopez, go watch that. That's exactly what dealing with a cluster bee is like. Right? She went into this guy's mindscape. And all the levels that this guy had to himself that he didn't want to express to anybody. Right? But he was hurting and killing people. I don't know whether they were young or old. I don't know. I forgot. But that's when she, in order to heal him, or order to actually to find out where this person was, where he was hiding her, she had to go into his mindscape. And it was a flipping process, man. So, and you don't want to be like that. You don't want to have so many, by not dealing and expressing your pain, you are creating layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of toxicity that you're creating because you're in, and all that festers, right? Express yourself. Whether people, like, I'm expressing myself, I'm telling what happened, whether people want to hear it or not. I'm creating whether people want to buy it or not. Because at some point, somebody's going to be like, okay, well, I'm in need of this, right? But one thing I do know is that the more well, they're holding me back, or they're doing this, or they're doing, in my case, that's what's happening, but do it anyway. So number 3, forgive yourself. So these are the 5 transitioning steps you must take. So the first one was accepting what happened. The 2 is expressing the pain. Release. Many ways to release, drink a lot of water so you can pee. It's crying and peeing, same thing. So one comes through the eyes, one comes through something else. So, release. Eat healthy so you can release. And the third one is forgiving yourself. And I've talked about that. I've talked about forgiving yourself first. And it's not necessarily that you have to, basically, and Oprah said this, she said the way she defines forgiveness is letting it go. Accepting that she can't do anything about it because it's already passed. Let it go. Doesn't mean for us Phoenixes, is when I take you through as your transformational coach, as I take you through, the thing that I'm doing is like, forgive yourself. And understand who the players are. Who, what, when, why, how. Okay? Understand who the players are. And forgiveness does not mean that you let them back in. Forgiveness doesn't mean that they get to come back in. A lot of them need to feel that, oh yeah, well, no, if you forgive me, then you'll just let me back in and we're friends and it's all is forgiven. That's not what it means. I forgive the situation because I can't do anything about it, but now I see it clearly from a multifaceted lens. Now I'm not just seeing it from that of a scared child or that from somebody who's traumatized. My mind is clear now. So I forgive myself because at that point in time, the trauma had me and I was frozen. I couldn't react. I forgive myself for being overpowered. I forgive myself for not listening to my intuition. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, that really tastes good. So that's what forgiveness really means. It doesn't mean that you have to be buddy with them, but that's how they manipulate it into being. If you forgive me, you'll let me sleep over. If you forgive me, you'll give me some money. If you forgive me, no. And that's why this is a personal and private thing, Phoenixes. So when you come into the community and we do these Zoom calls on the 8-week 2-part program starting after the new year, you don't have to. This is why it's private, it's safe, right? There's no judgment. Give everybody a chance to share, right? And go and because this is about you. I am creating safe space for Black women who are lesbian and trans, 30 to 50 years old, and anybody who wants to participate. But just know that that will be the focus, right? Not that other people or races will be ignored, because I think it's spiritual, it's not racial. But right now, I want somebody to see me who's in that community, because we do get overlooked. Like, Black women aren't believed. That's why I've learned to advocate for myself. Right? I was on the streets. There was nobody. Everything was shut off to me on purpose. I couldn't go to anybody. Every time I got a counselor, somehow that counselor just would disappear. As soon as I started talking about my abusers and how they were, sex trafficking and doing all this stuff, they were like, all of a sudden, that I got one counselor, I don't even know what happened. She just stopped calling. She just stopped talking to me. Somebody got to her. Real stuff like that happens. So anyway, the number 3, forgive yourself. 4, stress fat and not as far as I wish I was. Obsession of narc. I think when I was like, well, what did you write? Anybody else do that? Like, what did you write? So the reason why I wrote for number 4, stress fat and not as far as I wish I was. Okay. So that's why I wrote it. I had to remember. I'm sorry. So the reason why I wrote that as number 4. Those of you who have gotten skinnier, or those of you who feel that you've gotten fatter, right? For my case, like I said, you can look at me and you can tell that I've worked out, right? That I've worked body built. Like I work to tone. I don't work out to, for whatever. But anyway, and I thought to myself, it's like, how many times do we get judged because people don't know what we've been through. People don't know that we were violated in on so many levels in so many ways by a malignant narcissist, gang stalkers. This type of stress that gang stalkers put on you, gaslighting, the slandering, the street theater, all of that crap. I remember when I first went through it, I grew. When I first had moved to Sacramento, I was in a size 38. And by the time I left, I was in a size 44, and this is in men's. Now, gratefully, I hold my weight well because I do work out, and that is the saving grace. But nobody has taught me about stress fat. Right? So number 4, in the 5 transitioning steps that you must take is learn about stress fat. If you learn about how stress acts with your body in general, because you don't want to be walking around with low self-esteem because I was going to the gym and I was eating right. For me, intermittent fasting to basically fasting, I could fast 72 hours. and I was basically because I was still under stress, and this I got this from a doctor, and gosh, I forget her name. I wish I was, the brain fog is real, guys. When you get out of, because basically, again, like I said, this woman was doing satanic rituals to try and swap her soul, kill me, and swap and inject her soul into my body. Now that sounds crazy. It's not that I'm crazy. That sounds crazy that this woman would do this, because I felt it last year. She literally tried this last year. Before the fucking new, excuse my language, but before the new year. I mean, the other lady, before I left, she had hired a hitman to assassinate me. And I heard her say, because I'm clairaudient, and and sometimes it's not that I go in and listen to other people's, I'm more listening to the Most High and my guides as to direction. I'm not listening to other people, what haters want to say about me. But this was so clear and so evil, so it was very thick, right? And I think that she was nearby, that she had said, and kill her dogs too, and it was her voice. It's like, come on, dude. You're sitting there wanting to kill me, and this woman had to obsess over me because I rejected her. The rejection wasn't necessarily bad. I mean, not on my part. I gave her some motivation. I was like, dude, because that's the type of person that I am. But that's what I'm saying. It was like people trying to take hostage somebody who they know doesn't want to be with them. So she was trying to force me to be in a codependent relationship. So when I rejected her, she was trying to get me kicked off of my job. She was doing rituals to get to against my money. She even slandered me and called me a pedo. I mean, this is serious stuff that this twit was doing. This sex offender herself. And that's what people don't realize. It's like when you're trying to take on an earth angel, somebody who vibrates at a higher level and who can see right through you, and that's their divine gift. I'm not good. When you attack me, everything that is you is going to be revealed to me. That's my birthright. That's my right. I think we all do have that if we just tap into it. When I started consciously calling it, it's like, nope, your bloodline is now in debt to mine. You've attacked me without provocation. You knew I was royalty. That's why you wanted to be around me. Because your ego thought that you were entitled to what I have earned. I have earned it through blood, sweat, and tears. I don't sit on my laurels. I have walked in 3-digit hot heat, 8 miles to and from to get to work 2 jobs on top of that. My life is not a game, and it has nothing to do with anybody else, but people will try and graft themselves into your lives, Phoenixes, if you are not conscious of your divinity instead of hiding from it. And right now, a lot of people don't even know that they got demonic attachments. They don't know that sometimes the drugs are cut in a certain way to open you up to that, to make you a portal as soon as you ingest and imbibe in it. If you're not in the right consciousness. I remember the first time I was on the streets and somebody handed me a beer and I was like, yeah, damn, and I had it and it opened me up to some darkness. I said, because I was in a different world. Being on the streets is a different world than being in a house. It really is. It's a different level. I mean, I saw the black man, the black hat man and shadow, I saw things, man, and it was cool to me because that's what I was asking for. I was like, okay, if I can already see, enhance me, increase my territory, and strengthen what I already have. And that's what was done. So stress fat, learn about stress fat. And so that way you're not being hard on yourself because, and thinking that you're unlovable and unworthy, because all of that is the stress that they put on you to try and break you, manifested energetically, right? When you bend a bar, right? When you bend a bar, if you're a pipe fitter or whatever, right? I forget what they're called, but they use this tool when they're, making the wires. Like I've seen some construction when they're doing the wires and the pipes and stuff like this. and I forget, I don't know what it's called. They'll use a tool, and that tool, if you put pressure on that tool, it bends. So what the cluster bees are doing is they're putting pressure on you because they want to get that reaction. They love to see your faces contort. Like I saw that from the people that I've dealt with. It's like, wow, you really are getting off. Like I remember when living with this woman, she answered my call and started. I got a job within less than 2 days. I mean, was on a second one. I was trying to work as much as I could to build up, stack money, but I didn't know who I was dealing with. This person was more concerned about she tried to groom me. She tried to put me through the steps that malignant narcissists do, right? The idealization, the love bombing, and then the discard. She was trying to take me through that. She was trying to groom me to accept it. And I was like, I'm not interested in you. Now I don't go around, it's like, okay, I'm not attracted to this person and whatever. I don't do that. Like, I don't like what I like and I move the fuck on. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm not supposed to stay there, right? There's anything wrong with that. That's why I came up in meditation. I was like, you know what? Most times, like, I have never, ever, 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 ever allowed somebody to treat me. When I got out of my home from being abused, that was like a confirmation. Like, I'm never going to allow anybody to abuse me and sit there and take it. Like, I never understood, somebody's breaking you down, but that's what also made people mad. Professionals, teachers, therapists, all this stuff, especially if they were white supremacists, it's like, oh, how dare you? We've ascribed this characteristic to your race and your gender and your economic class. And how come you're not following that? How come you drew a big old tree, but that's not in your environment? Because, bitch, I have an imagination. So, and it's just these racist stereotypes and stuff like this. So, when I got out, but this person was trying to take me through that step. And I was like, no, I'm not about it. I'm not attracted to you, but it's not a big deal to me. If you are to me, it happens. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And, I'm going to be somebody's cup of tea. Right. So, but because of that, she was trying to knock me off of my pedestal, so to speak. She was trying to make me think that I was ugly. Even to this day, I get, there's sometimes where my face will itch or whatever. But if they're watching, and usually sometimes she's watching or whatever, but I guess, maybe something's happening to her finally. Thank the Lord. But because it's been a long road. Because it really is scary when somebody just won't let you live your life. Like, you're 1,000 miles away and they still won't let you live your life. And so that's what it's like. As a transformational coach and a NARC coach, my goal is not to give you your Cinderella, ending. It's to get you to get it yourself. Because when you know better, you'll do better, Phoenix, right? So if you know better, if I'm sharing with you, if I'm supporting you, if I'm imparting wisdom without being too connected to your situation, so I can see clearer, getting you to go to the Most High so you can see clearer through them and they can answer you and you can get used to the Most High's voice and have a relationship with the Most High. That's what I'm coaching you to. I'm coaching you to something. To me, when I was on the streets, people would say, I gave you $1.50 in a burrito. Right? Okay. So yes, and that helped me. But that gave me sustenance, that kept me in the same place, because there was a woman who helped me, and she said, you can come in, you can wash, you can use the shower, and you can cook, but you do the dishes and walk the dogs and go grocery shopping for me sometimes. And that's what I did. But when I realized that she liked having a maid, basically, when I realized that she liked having a maid, and I realized that she was sabotaging me from leaving her. Mind you, I'm on the street. She's not giving me a place to stay. right? And so I said, okay, I got this opportunity, and I took it, and I needed some money, but I paid her right back, right, to get the guard card and stuff like this. But when I left, she told people that I had used her. And I had bought this woman a carton of cigarettes, which was $70-$80, filled up her tank, which was probably about another $50. And she told people that I used her. So this is the problem here. So and when you're dealing with that stress, and you got people who are coming at you from all sides, again, it's like those pipe fitters when they're bending that pipe. That's what it does. It bends you in a direction that is counterproductive. So your body is all out of whack because you're trying to stave off. It's put you in survival mode to stave off attacks. And then for a time, like that's what triggers are. Triggers are, it's like, okay, I saw something, I smelled something, am I going to be attacked again? Especially when you still have somebody who's energetically obsessing over you and still trying to have control over you, right? Like some people, I guess some people have these things with cluster B personalities that actually, they'll actually stop and they'll move on. Maybe you may be on their mind or whatever, but they actually stop and move on. Now I'm waiting for that. Unfortunately, I have not had that, Phoenixes. So, the more wisdom to share with you. But I've had some scary times. So anyway, which has led to me not being able to see the results of a healthy body. Because that was one of the things, people were calling me fat and obese when I was 98 pounds soaking wet. I was starved off and on as a kid. So I learned how to intermittent fast, I guess you could say, right? That's when I started intermittent fasting, I said, gosh, I used to do this as a kid, Anyway, but, and then I started to feel, it's like, gosh, that's like, I am so disappointed because I've worked my ass off. Like I was literally in the gym 4 or 5 days, every day. There were 7 days a week that I was working out, whether I was doing cardio or just at my job, which, 8-hour shift. I'm by myself. As long as I do my runs and do my checks and then go outside and walk the whole time. My feet still hurt to this day, going to the gym. But the Most High had revealed to me one time. I was just so frustrated because I started to see, me get cut and start building up and not building up, but just toning, started seeing definition, started seeing all this stuff. And what I got was, the part of witchcraft is projecting so much negativity. Sometimes these guys they're not highly intelligent, like not a high IQ, but just trial and error. And what this person would do anytime, because she wanted me to look how she wanted me to look. So she thought, well, if you're fat and obese, she equated obesity with low self-esteem. Low self-esteem also added up to being able to control somebody's mind. When she wasn't able to control my mind, I've been celibate for a long time because the person who finds me is going to accept me for whether I'm skinny, whether I'm toned, whether I'm, fat or whatever. But, my kin, not my soulmate, my kin will be able to read what is that I went through. They'll be able to know. And there's nothing that's gonna shake them from that, right? So it's a little bit just with me. That was my goal, right? And it wasn't that I wasn't getting to my goal. A lot of times when these people, whether it's an induced relationship or whether you willingly got into the relationship, and now it's like, okay, gosh, my God, like this person, this person doesn't care whether it's like their priorities are screwed up, So anyway, so it's the pressure that they put on you. So basically this person wanted me to be fat because, like I said, she equated obesity to having a low self-esteem. If I had low self-esteem, she could control me. And because that was not happening, she was very infuriated. But one thing she did do again, I didn't finish that. One thing she would do, like she would follow me around. Like you knew there was one time where it's twice that she did it, and she would leave dead birds, right, with her BB gun. So she was telling me that it was her, because when I was living with her, she had this fascination with Walmart air guns, BB guns, and she would spend all her money on getting pellets. Right, she had this thing, and it was crazy for somebody her age. Like, you're at the time, I think she was almost 50 years old, and this is what you're doing with your life. Found out some other stuff about her too, but anyway. So this is why I was being harassed at my work and my job, and she would park across the street and project all this negativity towards me. So trying to give me COVID. I mean, you just hear what people say. When the intensity of it is when you're taking somebody's picture, or when you're astral projecting yourself into somebody's energy field, and then trying to taint them. Like, these guys were trying to give me, here's the thing that they were doing, which is just absolutely bizarre so you imagine you have these people who are deathly sick. They have COVID, they're gonna die, right? They have skin tags, blisters, boils. I don't know what they're called, where people have these boils on their faces. I've seen them a few times on TikTok, and I've had somebody in my body like that. And I've had somebody with MS. I've had somebody with gastro things where they're basically got diarrhea, seems to me, all the time, right? And so this is why I take you guys through the steps, Phoenixes, is because when you get under this high level of attack, you know how to act. You know you're not going crazy, right? The whole goal, my Phoenixes, is that I do this for is to get you to familiar with the many levels of spiritual existence and spiritual attacks, and the tactics that are used, not just because they're cluster B personalities, but just to show you how far these guys would go. So this woman would sit across the street from my job site, knowing that I could see her. But she didn't want to get close, because she knew that if she got close, the Most High had already let me know, you can take care of her, because she is trying to kill you. And you're in the world, you're not of it. I'm not going to hold you to anything. I'll get you out of it. And I'm not bragging. That's just what the Most High said, because it was getting so intense. Like, really, because she was so mad that I was still succeeding. She wanted me back on the streets, which let me know that she had orchestrated that. So basically, you got all these people who have all these diseases and all these health conditions and whatever. Now imagine them, like, we've seen those movies with people who have passed away, and they come back as ghosts to their families, or the body swapping, where they swap each other's consciousness or swap each other's souls. Behind Her Eyes was absolutely beautifully done. If it's still on Netflix, please go watch it. If you got Netflix, or look up Behind Her Eyes. I did a critique of it, because I've talked about this since the beginning of this channel. So that's why I said this is what makes me a perfect coach for those of you who are living in the spiritual. You're in this world, but you're not of it. And so therefore you need to be able to talk to somebody who can understand where you're coming from. So if I say that, if you tell me that this person tried to, that you saw this person because, you got all the clairs, and you saw this person scrambling up your crown chakra, and I'm going to say, yeah, I understand that. That's what happened to me. So here's the mantra for it. Here's the mantra to heal that and to grow that. Do some fasting, get some eggshells with some floor wash, which is natural, whatever, you know what I mean? So, because that's what I did. Because you have to keep them out of your third eye. I've had my third eye blocked. I mean, these people don't want you to get these opportunities, and things of that nature. And then what I finally did was I started learning how to throw it back at them. Okay. So, but anyway, just imagine people who are sick, and they're projecting themselves, they're fragmenting parts of their consciousness into your body. And then they're trying to, basically meld or infuse their sicknesses and their diseases that they have on them inside of you. So when you read about the miracles and the things in the Bible that they said were happening, again, because that's what came up for me. I was like, wow, okay, this is what was really meant. Because that's what they were trying to do. These people were trying to make me sick. I mean, sick. And it got to the point before we moved, it got to the point where it was like every day, 24/7. I felt like I was spiritually, I was walking through like the worst type of spiritual psychic sludge that anybody could ever do, because this is what they were attacking me with. These were people that I didn't know, but I would recognize them as soon as they popped up, because you have the energy signature of a demon, right? So when I talk about stress fat and I talk about other things, and people say, well, I'm not where I wish I was and I did all this work, it's not because you didn't do the work. If you gotta triage it, but it probably 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be because you didn't do the work. It's going to be because your work was truncated. You were literally cut off from seeing any progress. They sabotaged you, right? So and it's that they put stress on you, so not probably knowing how stress works in the body, but just knowing that you're going to blow up. Because if your body knows that you're going through a fight or flight, you're not going to see any progress. And after a while of you, the stress keeps up and keeps up and keeps on. The more I worked out, it was seeming the more bloated I seemed to get. Right? So that's another thing. Just be aware that because you may not be where you want to be. I wasn't where I wanted to be with Phoenix's Rising Academy. I'm still not. Right? In moving, it was almost as if I was stripped of all that passion and all that, you know what I mean? And I think most of it was because I was going from, it was weird because with my spiritual eyes, I literally saw in my environment, I saw like, okay, because I do film and I do post-production. And so when you're doing films, you got to cross dissolve and stuff like this. So what I saw was literally like a cross dissolve from out of the old into something new. It was really weird, but beautiful. So there are so many benefits of doing the work, Phoenixes. I mean, gosh, it sucks because if those of us who are truly on this journey, it really sucks because it feels as if we're about ready to die too many times, like, and I told the Most High, I said, Ma, I am not tripping on, I am not a stranger to work. Faith without works is dead. I get it. I dig it. I live it. But what I'm tired of is going between A and B and having unnecessary stuff thrown at me. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's what hurts. It's like, this person. Then what's the thing with my situation, just so you guys can relate, is that this person knew dang well that their time had been up. Their time was up at the time that I was recognizing it. Their time was up before COVID hit. Their time was up. So you've got to be a stubborn, obsessed piece of shit to want to choose to continue to harass and try and kill people. They were trying to give me a heart attack on the streets, but because I had walked, and that's the thing of taking care of your body and taking care of your mind. I also do many workshops and thinking about what you're thinking about, because when you think about what you're thinking about, when you know what is coming inside of you, when you're not just sitting there on autopilot all the time, there's a time to be on autopilot and there's a time to be aware. You don't let every foreign Tom, Dick, and Harry come into your mind space. Because when you're doing the work, Phoenixes, by the time you get done with this 8-week program, from sealed to healed, you'll be able to recognize when a foreign thought is coming into your mind. You'll be able to recognize the voice of the Most High as it pertains to you. And your soul tribe will speak to you, right? versus some succubus, some incubus, some, Satanist, some astral terrorist, some remote viewer coming in and trying to, they're paid or unpaid, whatever, and trying to get you to take a different road. I had the succubus. I know who my kin is. And I had the succubus trying to pretend that she could be me, just that she could be her, just to get that energy. How desperate does a person have to be to obsess to the point where you are consciously, you're doing witchcraft so that you're tethered to me somehow. If I fall in love, if I am happy, right? Then that person, when I would get happy, that person would psychically attack me. That person would give me the evil eye. I heard her too many times. I was talking to somebody. I was so happy to meet another producer. I actually met a producer. As a filmmaker, who doesn't want to meet a producer? And they were into the same stuff that I was into because we were doing the same class. And here, this person was like, "Who are you talking to?" I mean, I heard her. And this is what I'm saying. For me, it was an induced relationship because this person had tagged me. This person had a whole family. Both of these women had whole families. And both of them claimed to be married. You see? But yet you're focused on me. And she made that other person sick and tried to make me sick. Like when she didn't want me going to the gym because she didn't want me talking to some gym girls. And here I'm not in a relationship with this woman, never have been in a relationship with this woman. And to be honest with you, the succubus, when I met her, I thought that she was really ugly, to be honest with you. And on the outside appearance, she did not look ugly. I just thought she had an ugly spirit. I said, there's something wrong with her. The more she, and I knew that she was doing some spying, kind of, you know what I mean? She was doing some recognizance, trying to figure out. I mean, she would astral project to me and remote view to me, whatever. And she would be like, trying to see my bank account. So she was, I would have a presence, right? And on my shoulder, like we were buddy. I remember when she'd be looking at the screen and monitors like, "Oh, you got that much money, so you can give me $1,000. I'm not giving you a damn thing. I don't need to pay to have sex. I don't need to pay." There's nothing that this woman had to offer me in the first place, which is why I treated her. I didn't, in passing, I talked to her, and then she had to spice it up. But she was tapping how she got to me was through my heart chakra, not through love, but just through the warmth of because when you're constantly in a spiritual battle, when you're constantly being gang stalked, and the tools of an abuser and abusers in general is to disconnect you, cut you off from anything that would give you life and power, anything that would keep you from them. So yeah, yeah. So and it was so frustrating because it's like, dude, this isn't happening. But she would attack me. She would like, you're not mine. Da 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 da. She sent her family after me. Da da da. Right? It was just, come on, dude. But yeah, so just trying to reflect here. Stress, fat, not so yeah. So basically, when you from going from step one, accepting what happened. When you accept what happened, then number 4, stress. Basically, the not as far. I wish I was not as far as I wish I was. When you realize when you accept that, hey, I was in an abusive relationship, this is how stress attacks my body. This is how I in my recovery, as I'm recovering, I'm going to share with other people. So because I know that other people have gone through what I need through and they need the support, and so do I, right? And then I'm going to forgive myself for going through this, and I'm going to learn the lesson, because if I forgive myself, I'm not going to make the same mistake. the things that people think though, that, oh, well, now that I've learned and whatever, then I don't have to deal with it. No, you don't have to deal with it in the same way. But what I found, even in transitioning to our new place, there are still cluster Bs. As I said, there was a dude who just he wanted to get my energy, and all of a sudden he took out his bag of chips and he thought that he was going to just sit there, eat and siphon my energy, until I told him, you need to back up. This isn't my first rodeo, buddy. You want that mask? You don't have to wear the mask if you don't, because I could see through it. I peeped you. My guides peeped you before I even looked in your direction, and they were telling me. They're the ones that pointed my head in your direction. So you know, and I know that you're going to get an ass whooping if you mess with me. So he thought, okay, I'm going to stand this distance. I'm going to just sit here while you waiting for the light to change. And then when I looked back and something said, look back, and I said, and because I already knew he wasn't going to be there. I have literally seen people with demon possessions disappear. I have also seen them kind of fold through time, so to speak, because they don't want to be captured, right? I mean, it's some Harry Potter shit, you guys. But anyway, so which is fascinating. I always get fascinated. It's like, you know, I'm so grateful that I'm a writer. Just give me the space to write now. So, because I have more than enough because my goal was to leave a legacy that my mom didn't leave. My mom said, oh, you know, I wanted to make a movie of my life. I wanted to write. My mother also had the gift of seeing. There was a little boy that played, you know, in her room that she would talk to. She was not schizophrenic. She was bipolar. But she was a spiritual being. There are a few in my family that have the gift, right? So, you know, and I'm no different. And so, you know, and I believe the way that I processed my mom, went through those 4 steps that I take my phoenixes through, is that she took on, one thing that the Most High had revealed to me is that she took on what I didn't have to. See, what people don't understand either is that we are not light workers or chosen just for the namesake. You're here because you're the generation that's supposed to kind of give the rest a clonic, if you will, right? You're supposed to claim, you know, imagine you got a tree, right? You got a lineage, and it's all pipes, and they're all winding, and one goes this way. You know, we know the family tree: the mother, the father, the grandfather, the grandmother. We already know that. But sometimes during our bloodline lineage, the lineage, as time goes on, we get clogged, and you need to prune, because there are some who have grafted themselves in, who were not of royal blood, or who were not even could have been of royal blood, but they weren't supposed to be a part of our bloodline. That means that sometimes even the golden child is not supposed to be in there. So when you become wise, when you level up, you understand that you have the authority to cut that child out, to cut that person out, right? That so and this goes back, like when they're writing in the Bible, it's in the blood, and when, you know, I forget what it says, but they're talking in there about, I forget if it's Matthew, Mark, or you know, like Paul or something, and they're saying, hey, you know, some people, I think it was Paul, who said that these people have grafted themselves in. So there are people who have grafted themselves into your bloodline who were not supposed to be there. They got through there by guile. They got through there by manipulation. They got through there by intimidation, murder, and pillaging, and, you know, witchcraft. So we're chosen because we are the chosen ones who can recognize it. We're the ones who are supposed to do our due diligence. Some of us plant seeds. Some of us, you know, pull out the weeds. Some of us are there for the harvest time. And there's probably more. But when you get on this journey, it's not just, oh yeah, hey, you know, that I'm chosen. I'm going to light some sage and hope that that keeps the demons away. That see that I'm chosen. And I think it's that willful naivety that does that that just destroys people. Like you had, I mean, like I recognized when during my journey, again, this is when I did myself. It's just me and God, and so I was getting all this wisdom, I was getting all these downloads, and especially when I would complete a task or complete a some type of level, right, and I would feel myself vibrate higher, even higher. Like I would get more intuition, I would get more. It's kind of like a game. Not saying that it is a game, but that's what it felt like you leveled up, like Mario when they eat the magic mushroom, you leveled up, you know. And so but what I realized is that through generations she took on what she could take on before she tapped out, you know. My thing is that I went halfway and then I tapped out, and now I'm awake again, better than before, right? So she did what she was supposed to do, and so she cleared enough away for me, so for me to finish it, or to get somebody else to finish it. I mean, we're never really finished, but you know, there's a new chapter. Like my family, I've always sensed that we've always been royalty, and we've always been wealthy in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not necessarily monetarily, but maybe spiritually, right? I've always had the spiritual. Spiritual has always been the forefront of my mind since you know, so far in this lifetime of mine, right? So you know, just don't blindly, you know, a lot of people just keep using chosen. I'm so sick of it. Everything gets overused because there's work to be done. You just don't get to call yourself stuff and not do any work. And a lot of people are lazy. A lot of people are tired. A lot of people are scared, but a lot of people are just plain flipping lazy, you know? And I think sometimes that's what people are scared about, is me being a coach, because I'm not going to let you breastfeed off of me, you know? Yeshua said, these things I do and you can do more. You can be your own, you know, your own sage, your own guru. You can be all of that, but you have to put in the work. And people wanted to, it's all, you know, I get to go and talk and speak to everybody. That's only part of it, you know. People aren't good, you know. You forget that people in the background, people don't realize that you know, somebody sabotaged your tires and y'all almost died. If it wasn't for the prayer and meditation that you did that day, you could have been. You feel me? This is what is important, Phoenixes. This is why I do what I do, because you have to do maintenance. You can't just get the blood. This is what the cluster B personalities are doing. Okay, y'all, we're gonna let you do the work, and then we're gonna come and share in your harvest. And what ends up happening is when somebody's trying to share in your harvest, then you lose it. Like, I mean, and see, if I wouldn't have grown, because I'm a giver, but I gave too much, and I gave sometimes out of fear of rejecting that person and having them retaliate against me. Now I have no fear of retaliation because I know who I belong to, right? I don't have a fear of the cops because I know that they don't run me. Doesn't mean that I may not have to go to jail if somebody decides to do something and I get the okay. I'm going to ask the Most High first. That's where I go, right? You know, that's where I go. I'll be like, hey, you know what? This person is doing too much, and I would like to do such and such. If you give me the okay in a way that you know that I will understand that it is coming purely from you, definitely you, then I will go through with it. If not, then please let me know. Either way, you know? So anyway, the last one is that it's never too late. God's got you. And again, so 5 transitioning steps you must take is, and this is more of these last 2 are more of just a realization and study. So, you know, if you're hung up about, you know, the weight, or you know, the way that you look or whatever, realize that you survived somebody who put you through a garbage disposal. You survive the garbage disposal. The malignant narcissist, sociopath, the psychopath, the antisocial, the borderline personality, the histrionic, that whole damn cluster B cocktail of demonic feces was trying to kill you while they were siphoning you. Right? So that's why you have to drink a lot of water. If you guys are still in relationships with cluster B personalities, drink a lot of water. And you know, I mean, like I went to the store today and I got some Kit Kats and stuff like this because I know myself, right? I'm out of that situation, but now I am feeling like I want more sugar, you know, but I'm keeping it low. I'm aware that this could be a problem, right? But I'm working out every day. I have a certain amount of steps that I need to take to burn this many calories. I go, you know what I mean? I do what I need to do. But sorry, I think I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, so just remember, don't be too hard on yourself, I think is what I'm saying with 4 and 5. Is don't be so hard on yourself. Just because you don't look the way that you used to look, you're not as vibrant, maybe you're not as slender or toned or whatever your goal was, or you know what I mean, you were trying to start this business and everything just crashed and you're so exhausted. Just own that and feel that, but also understand that you have to give yourself time. You have to let the brain fog clear. You're gonna recognize your triggers. You're gonna have triggers. If you're not, you're gonna be crying, and you think, oh, I don't know why I'm crying, but your higher self knows why you're crying, right? So and just know that it's never too late, because it had me thinking, and before we transitioned, I was starting to think that. That's why. So when I made this list, we were already transitioning, but I was like, okay, so what can I just do as something, just speak on it. And really, it takes time, right? And I think the hardest thing for us, with spiritual gifts and whatnot, the hardest thing is, I know what I'm supposed to do. The hardest thing is hey, it was sabotage. And so this feels like, because it feels like they're trying to wear you out so that you give up. And it is exactly what was up. But you don't have to give up. You would be amazed. And I'm still waiting for it. But I know that there are things that God has pushed that when we got here, they were trying to sabotage me. Because I got a job and everything. It's like God had given me the download and I did whatever I was supposed to do, and so I was obedient. That's the thing. Be obedient to the Most High. Be obedient to your higher self, right? And I was obedient. And so everything, when you have a relationship with the Most High and you're not relying on other people, like even as a coach, you're not relying on me to give you Scooby snacks, though I'll give them. Don't always rely on it though, because the person you have an obligation to your bloodline. You have an obligation to your soul tribe. I'm already servicing mine. We're already in a partnership, right? I'm just here to guide you and provide a community and support, right? Because I'm very much into, I don't learn what I had to unlearn being on the streets was learned helplessness. When you're in a relationship with the cluster B personality, they're codependent, but they want you to be codependent on them. And anything that you do that is independent of them, they will try and destroy. When I got a job, this person told me, yeah, oh, that's good that you got a job and stuff like that, but she sabotaged it. And really, God just revealed that to me about two weeks ago, I believe. Like she sabotaged it. She did not want me to be have a job. She wanted me, she was grooming me to be something that I was never meant to be, which was her slave. and it was multifaceted. So anyway, just be gentle with yourselves. You know, when you're in these relationships, and when you get out, when you're transitioning, when you get out of a relationship with somebody who's told you that you're stupid, you'll never amount to anything, or, you know, I'm so disappointed in you. Why can't you ever get anything right? Why do you have to always be a Debbie Downer, you know, or I didn't even say that. Why are you taking it like that? Right? All this word salad, this gaslighting, this triangulation crap. They idealize you, they love bomb you, then they go and cheat on you after they devalue you, and then they come back and then they hoover you, trying to get you back, and sending flying monkeys to spy on you and take pictures of you. I mean, it's all this crappy shit. So when you get out, when you transition and you get out, you have to accept that that's what happened. Accept the situation for what it was. Right? Express your pain by telling your story, whether it be by just joining a group and sharing and confirming, or, you know, or doing your own thing, you know, writing a book or whatever, doing videos, do whatever. Then forgive yourself, you know? And I think that probably should have been the first one, but, you know, you got to recognize what you're forgiving. Then forgive yourself. And then, you know, hey, you know, if you have the weight issue, or just you think in general, hey, I'm not as far as I was goal. Like that was the biggest thing for me during this whole thing. And I think I was a little bit I deal with impatience, and I was impatient because I had just gotten off the streets, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this motivational speaking. I'm going to write my book. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm only one person, and I was dealing with a city. And this is not an exaggeration. In a city where there was nothing filled with landmines of people trying to blow me up, people trying to have sex with me so they could have bragging rights, people siphoning my energy so they could have bragging rights, people trying to murder me so they could have bragging rights, people trying to take my animals out so they could have bragging rights. I mean, Jiminy Christmas, you know, and here I am. Okay, I'm supposed to be, you know, I'm supposed to be in my purpose now. I was totally ignoring what had happened, right? And then I was like, okay, well, now I don't look like it, and I'm not doing anything, because you're supposed to be resting. You're supposed to be healing. And just know that it's never too late. God's got you, but you got to go through the process, because you can't have that toxicity within you that's in them. And in some cases, that's what started them off, is because they never healed. They chose it, you know, like when that demon attached to them. I think that, you know, when we go through somebody, the person who has traumatized us, their demons kind of get transferred like a virus. And then we go through and we have to get that off of us. Some of us got it off of us, but not a lot, but we didn't keep it going. And so we have to understand we're like fish going through a fishbowl. And, you know, until we only get into a new, cleaner fishbowl of a higher quality as we learn the lessons at the stage that we're at. You know, I learned the lessons for the stage that I was at. It wasn't until after I went into hibernation, somebody called me a lonely dragon or something like that. She goes, I saw a dragon who was just in their cave, and they were just in hibernation, you know? And I was like, no. You know, I got all indignant and was like, no. But that's really was me. And so then on the second part is, you know, once I woke back up again, then I got into a new spiritual environment. Sometimes we'll grow spiritually before we'll grow materially, because this is not our world. And I think people was like, okay, well, I mean, I live here, and so I should be able to know. Everything for you is free. Energy is free. You can manifest. It doesn't have to. But down here, people are negating it. They're restricting who gets what, right? I mean, it's like just like trying to make people pay for air that you breathe, that you make, that you produce. Right? You want to block out the sun. They want to block out the sun. They want to block out the trees. They want to pollute the flipping ocean, and then say, we. No, that was you. All right, Phoenixes. I didn't mean for this to be 2 hours, but yeah, it's never too late. You just have to be patient, and you have to, it's something. It's the process, because a lot of times when we're transitioning, we grow. You can grow to a certain extent. That's what I found. I can grow to a certain extent while being in a cluster B relationship, which I don't want to say because it was induced. I was never been within any of these the people that I've named. I've never been with any of them ever. Like it would be, like that's not my personality. I'm not easily bullied. I think I should say, and which is what's infuriated this person. This person is just like so hell bent. But more is being revealed about why from the Most High. But right now it's resting. So anyway, yeah. So just basically the 5 transition steps you must take. Pretty much, it's all about acceptance, self-love, through expression, through forgiveness, through loving your body. Look at like I had to really look at my body. I said, oh God, look, I got this big old gut now. My butt, I wanted to have this toned butt, and I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. I wanted to get down to at least a size 40, you know what I'm saying? And here, right, and it's not that I didn't feel embarrassed or anything. It's just like, okay, I feel the embarrassment. I've learned to feel my feelings. That's basically what I'm saying. When you're transitioning, feel your feelings and take tender care of yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Journal about it. Cry about it. Write a song about it. Write your book. I mean, I've been writing a book. I've been, God was like, tell me, hey, write these shorts and da-da-da-da. I'm like, okay, but that the battle is still on, But anyway, I hope that this helped you guys. And I'm gonna do some more. Check out the one that I did on Kanye West and Ultralight Beam, and what he was saying in Ultralight Beam, that this is a God dream. Because I love that song, and the Most High gave me a download about it. Now I don't follow him. I don't follow a lot of people I don't follow celebrities on social media. I follow like other creators mostly, but not a whole bunch. So, and please go check out my social media, my websites, and just to get some traffic circulating and whatnot. Check out my documentary. Go subscribe to my Blue Phoenix Rising Media. Let me do this. Let's see. Well, you guys can see Blue Phoenix Rising Media. Oh, I think I did it off. Sorry. Okay, so Blue Phoenix Rising Media, that's all my social media. Phoenix Rising, at Phoenix Rising Academy, that's all my social media. That's where you'll find me. So you type that in, you'll get me on Instagram, you'll get me on TikTok, you'll get me on Koji. I also have some digital art that I absolutely love. And really, I'm getting into digital art because I want to implement it into my documentary. Or documentary of sorts. It's really not a documentary. It's just a recount of all because I documented my journey, and so now I'm presenting it to you guys. And I got 500, almost 500 views on the first one, just the intro, and then the second one only got 1. So again, that's a part of sabotage. It's energetic. It's manipulating energies. So hopefully, I ask you guys just to help me raise that vibration. But if you haven't already, go subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell, because I'm going to start posting a little bit more. I know I keep calling this a podcast, but I don't have my intro. I started out with an intro and whatnot, but I've just gotten overwhelmed with doing it all the time. And really, it's because I get the wisdom at night when I was doing graveyard. And so I would get all this wisdom and I'd write it down on little sticky notes. And then, I couldn't wait. I was recording it for a little bit from my phone when I had my TikTok live. I would do a TikTok live on the graveyard shift. But since I got kicked off, they've permanently blocked me because of one of my abusers. I outed her and I showed her picture. and let everybody know this is the person who has been trying to murder me. This is the person who's been trying to kill my animals. This is the person, who has been doing witchcraft day and night and trying to infuse herself into me and all this other stuff, because I don't believe the other thing with healing and transitioning is you don't have to own other people's stuff. You are no longer that child that is the garbage can, that is the black sheep, that is the dump, the punching bag. These guys can get the help that they want. They can go to a priest and get an exorcist if they want. They can get an exorcism. They're choosing not to. And I don't have to. That's what it means by not throwing your pearls to swine. Just because they don't want to do the work doesn't mean that I have to pay the cost. I did the work for me and my family, my bloodline. You guys are doing the work for you and your family and your bloodlines. And I have because here I got some wisdom on something too. It's because when you open your doors to these people, when they have a portal, this lady has had to literally create a portal through my spine. I've watched her walk in. It's the most disturbing thing that Jiminy Christmas, dude. Like, seriously, I got stories. I'm like, what is going on with this lady? She has too much time on her hands. And who's giving her all this information? Like, who's telling her to do this stuff? This woman is 400 pounds, man. 6 foot. When the first time she came into my body, it was like I expanded. So you want to talk about stress fat? Like in this, she's obese. It's not like she's toned. It's not like she's cut. It's not like she goes to the gym. When I was living with her, she couldn't walk. Like, I'm not exaggerating. She could not take 3 or 4 steps without sweating profusely and getting exhausted. I was like flabbergasted. Like, how the fuck do you do that? And this is the person who's trying to bully me. This is the person who's trying to sell me into sex slavery. This is the person who's calling me, saying that this is the reason why people don't like black people. And she can't walk up she couldn't walk up the first step. And here I am hopping a step because I'm excited. And so from that on, she started attacking my body. For the longest time, my legs were so sore. My remedy for it was to go out and work out anyway, because I have to break myself of her illusion, of her delusions. You're trying to create an illusion in me that is not, not there, So anyway, yeah, it gets deep, Phoenixes. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, because I'm going to head out. I'm going to get to bed because I got to work tomorrow, and it has been beautiful. And I can feel somebody trying to press. Not, but we'll see. We'll see. That which does not kill us only makes us stronger. So don't give up. If you're having a hard time with the transitioning out of a traumatic relationship, a traumatic situation, just don't give up on yourself, but love yourself. Say positive affirmations to yourself. Don't give up. You're a warrior and you deserve everything good, and you will have it, but you got to focus. That's a lot of what people don't want to do. They don't want to focus. They don't want to put any work in. TikTok is not paying your bills unless you got a good account, unless you're a master at the system. But I know I'm not. So, TikTok doesn't pay my bills. The Most High does. Most High gives me opportunities, Most High helps me to see clearly. I just had something happen where I thought I was going to be homeless again. That was the goal, So that's what I'm saying. You got to be very vigilant, because what cluster B personalities do is exploit a spiritual being having a human experience. So really, you don't have to do anything specific. The fact that you are alive, the fact that you vibrate at high, the fact that you have a chosen emblem on the top of your forehead, that means that you are something that there's someone that they're going to keep coming after. Period. And they're going to use life to exploit you. Isn't that fucked up? I mean, because that's what it all amounts to. I quit smoking. The woman thought, oh, it's okay. Now I have access because you quit smoking. Or you're crying now, so that means I got access. See, they don't want you to be yourself. And in order to protect ourselves, a lot of times we think we got to hide. I got to hide this part of me, or I can't say, let them see me cry. I finally said, because that's how I was. It's like on the streets and then being gang stalked at the same time by this person, sending flying monkeys and stuff, and trying to, sabotage, having these people call daily to my job, saying that I'm doing such and such. And, all this stuff. It was hell to add more stress. To make you, basically her goal was to make my life harder than what it needed to be. So instead of it just being a year, because I was already I qualified for housing, and it got sabotaged, like literally sabotaged. I was flabbergasted. Like I had never seen something so bold done right there out in the open. And these people still think that they're not, and here's the other thing, when you're transitioning, and yes, feel that anger. Feel that anger. Feel it. Then ask the Most High to help you channel it, because it's justified. Somebody dared to try and take you before your time. Somebody dared to try and stifle you and your bloodline, to make you pay for something that they're jealous that you have, that you earned. This woman is on welfare. This woman gets a crazy check, as they used to say when I was growing up. And she used to tell me, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. You're so busy doing spells on people. You're so busy astral terrorizing and projecting to people. You're so busy trying to cause people to have heart attacks and have viruses and disabilities, because you're pissed off, because your body is deteriorating, because why? You have been that lady has been an open portal for demons for a long time. That's what she does in her gang affiliation. Like, I can't believe somebody who's 60, 70 years old. There was somebody here at where I stay, and I saw them, and they were like this old vato. And actually my workplace, it's like, you see these old Generation X and these old G's and, and these vatos and all this other stuff. And they, they come and they, and I don't mean to laugh, but because I was thinking about myself, I was like, God dang, dude, like, really? They still got that energy about them, but it's like, look, this is where you ended up though. You're getting benefits now, which is good, but it's like, I don't want to be one of those, like, what if, so I made the commitment to myself to do whatever it is that I had to do to change, to add something to my legacy, to be the first multi-millionaire in my family after a long time, right? To reclaim, when you say that I reclaim my birthright, I reclaim my legacy, I reclaim, what you're saying is that you were going to be the one to put forth what was already there back again, better than it was before, after the takeover. See, a lot of times the takeover isn't just in the material plane. The takeover has to happen in the spiritual first. The takeover of your mind. As I said, I've had these guys try and influence my mind to do something. They've tried to be the woman that I was deeply in love with. They've tried to be her, cause destruction and chaos, animosity between her and I. Anyway, I've talked too much. I can't believe that's 2 hours, but I've talked too much. Hopefully, loves, you've gotten something out of it. I love you, and I want the best for you. And I don't give up. So that was what the 5 transitioning steps that you must take are about. Love yourself. Let yourself grieve. Don't revel in it for too long. When the Most High says, time's up, let's get it. Time's up, let's get it. That's what you do. You get up. Right? Okay. So thank you guys for joining. Love you. Go and subscribe, ring the bell. Follow me on all my social media. And stay tuned for another episode. And remember, your blessing